annual meeting is the one time a year you get to push information out to them. So the annual meeting is really the homeowners' meeting. It is their meeting. It is not the board members' meeting. And in fact, the homeowners are in charge of that meeting. Now, we put a chairman in charge, and typically that's the president of the HOA, is marked as being in charge of that meeting and presides over the meeting, but it is their meeting. What we've done over the course of years is turned that around and made it where the board sits at the front of the room and they give out all this information. We hold an election, we finalize the election, and we say thank you very much for coming. We have a little open forum at the end of it there, and they don't get a chance to do much. Well, the state legislature has now made it such that, once again, we can't talk about it unless it's on the agenda. We can't vote on it, at least. I guess we can talk about it. In a homeowners forum, like the annual meeting or a town hall meeting, they can talk about whatever they want to talk about because there's no real laws about not talking about it, but you can't make decisions and vote on something that hasn't been agendized in the beginning. So it's a real touchy thing that they've caused us to have to react to and figure out how we're going to make this all happen. My suggestion here is, many boards like to think that, okay, the annual meeting is for the election. We get in here, we sign people in if we need to. We now have the envelopes that already have the signature on them, so the quorum is met typically, hopefully, and then there's no need to have them sign in, although having them sign in is kind of nice because you have an idea who showed up a month later. You can kind of talk about who's going and who's not. It's also a way to figure out who's enjoying the association and becomes a part of the association, so you can look to them to be on a committee sometime down the road. These annual meetings do serve a good purpose of two-way communication. And I do think it's important for you to really welcome them to them and then get them to attend. Does anybody have any ideas in the room on how you can get people to attend an annual meeting? I'll take anybody's comment. Potluck. They have a potluck, like a barbecue or a dinner of some kind, lunch. Okay? And that attracts people, doesn't it? It gets them coming. Free food. Obviously that would work. And free drinks, of course, would work too. Yes?
We recently bought a city council member for our meeting. We do it, and everybody enjoyed that.
He says he brought a city councilman to his meeting. And you know what? People really do want to know what's going on in the city, the surrounding area. Having somebody like that come to your annual meeting to give a little talk about what's going on in the city, a perfect way to help attract people to come. Anything else? Any other ideas? Have it close by. Yeah, in the community, hopefully. Yep. And some have to have it at a nearby hotel or something like that because you want to have some room and comfort level. But having it close by, don't have it clear across town. One other idea that I've seen used is a raffle-like deal, only it's really called more of a door prize, where everybody who shows up gets a ticket, and then at the end of the meeting you draw from the bowl of extra tickets, and somebody gets a free dinner to the clubhouse or a free dinner to a local restaurant. And yes, the association pays the bill on that, but it's not that expensive for the, let's call it a $100 gift certificate or a $50 gift certificate. That pays for a lot of goodwill to get more people to come to the meeting. So there's another idea. When you really have information you want to push out to them, you want to get them there, the best thing you can do is find ways to encourage it. So having a council member come to speak, having a potluck, having a door prize. Yes. Having displays on hand at those meetings is very excellent for communication. Do you have to have a quorum at that annual meeting? And the answer is yes, you do. And the way that works in today's world is we now send out the ballot with the return envelope, that double envelope system that we all love so much. And in the upper left-hand corner of that envelope is the place where they sign their name, a place where they put their name. By the way, I'll talk again, signing it is not all that important. Handwriting it is what they want to do, somehow get their name on the envelope. And what they're doing is saying, yes, this is officially from me. I'm turning in my ballot, and that signature or that name in the upper left-hand corner becomes a proxy, so they don't actually have to show up. But you want them there. You want to find a way to get them to show up. So having ideas on how to make that happen, to me, is pretty important. I talk about publicizing things like that several months in advance. Don't wait till the last minute. If you know you're going to have an annual meeting in March, January is a good time to start talking about that, so that they get excited about it. Talk about what you plan to do. Well, if you're going to talk about it in January, you better have your plans made in December. If you're going to have plans made in December, you better be talking about it amongst yourselves in November. And if you're going to talk about it at all, you better have an actual board meeting, because that's not something you're allowed to talk about in executive session. So you really got to think about your whole plan for meetings, and you board members start talking early on. So if this summer, be it July, August, September, we start planning for an annual meeting that's going to happen in March, we're doing the right thing. Just start laying it out at a board meeting, right in front of all the homeowners. Talk amongst yourselves as board members about how you're going to prepare for the annual meeting coming up. Those people in the audience watching you conduct business as a board, they see that you're thinking ahead, that you're proactively planning. And all of that really looks good when we talk about communication. The push of information that I recommend is that they do give a very brief financial report. I mean brief like, by the way, folks, we have money. You know, that's what they want to know. Are we on budget or off budget? And certainly we can mention the fact if you're not on budget because you had some extraordinary expenses this year, you make mention we had some extraordinary expenses this year and we're a little bit over budget. We spent a little bit more than we intended to spend, but we have means to get that corrected. Or we're way under budget and this is how we're planning to use that extra money if we have it. I mean, to say something to them, to read the financial to them and read the numbers to them is boring. They don't really care about all that. If they want to know what the numbers are, you can hand them a financial. You can actually let them know that if your association puts out an annual report that your CPA puts together, and I'll bet most of you do, then they have the numbers. So they don't really care to hear them at an annual meeting, but they want to know is, are you guys at the board level comfortable with how we're doing business? And they should hear that. If you have things going on in the association where you're making some changes, maybe you're changing a flower bed over here, or you're changing the landscape schedule, or something like that, those kinds of committee reports are really good things to talk about, so that they get a sense that you're really conducting business at your monthly meetings or your regular board meetings.